All right. Welcome back into an episode of Tobacco Road and Abroad. My name's Gareth, and this is joined by Aiden Moore. And boy, do we have some things to talk about. Some things. State, Carolina, Carolina Panthers. All good talking points across the. Some funny, some just completely bizarre. So, without further ado, let's get into. It. I'll, I'll let
Absolutely.
I'll let Aiden start, considering the rumor mill that's been swirling all day. Emphasis on rumor. I mean, there's been some facts, but there's been a lot of interesting things said by a lot of parties.
Well, a couple months ago, I said this is either going to issue the dark ages of UNC, Bill Belichick being at UNC, maybe a new renaissance, or it might issue the dark ages to UNC. You can't tell me I was wrong. You can't tell me that I was wrong. Yes, the program's basically collapsing right now. We are D3 bound on the we're on a trajectory to becoming a D3 program, so that's cool. Uh, Three is the magic number. Yes, it
You're gonna
is.
join the ODAC conference.
Oh hell yeah, ODAC. Anything, but I don't think it's a hot take to say Bill Belichick at UNC has not been working. It hasn't been the best football product. It will go down as a football product, but it's definitely not one of the best. It's definitely not good. Um, it's
He,
abysmal to watch. Um,
he may have given up.
yeah, there's no question about that. Clemson blew us out 38-10. That first half was something of a massacre. 28 points in the first quarter, 35 points being scored in the first half. I'll give you this. UNC did win that fourth quarter though. One touchdown to
Seven
one
zero.
field. Yeah,
Oh, seven.
yeah. They got a field goal. So listen, if you look at it like this, first half, that was all Clemson. They won the first quarter, and they won the second quarter. The third quarter was a tie. They both scored 0 points then. And then in the fourth quarter, UNC scored one touchdown while Clemson only scored a field goal. So in my mind, we had a one win technically with a tie. Now, granted, did we lose the whole game? Absolutely. We got blown out. But if you electoral college this, which is how we run things in America, we actually put up a good fight. Anyway, Bill Belichick wants out. The Hulu series that we made, like talking about Bill Belichick at UNC, that's gone in the can right now. Bill Belichick, overall, sources say he wants to quit. UNC is trying to find a way to fire him because apparently, uh, in the contract, if you fire him without cause, that's $20 million down the drain. Um, I think there is proper cause. It's because he's ass. So
I,
we're in a tough situation right now. Also, there have been recruiting violation, uh, and let me just pull up this uh, uh, article that I had.
while Aiden gets that, one of the things the UNC players and coaches have gotten in trouble is the players have been selling. So this was an issue that was touched upon at my school actually, and some people actually got in trouble for this at. I'll say the school I went to. I mean, everyone
Yeah,
point
yeah.
at Providence.
Hmm.
Student athletes. Now I don't know what the compensation is at Carolina. So at Providence, every student athlete got a free ticket to every sporting event, no matter what. Now some sports were free, but like even for the mainline sports, even basketball games for free. Providence, Yukon, which even for other students, those tickets were like $50 free. Now it was just general admission, and you basically got last available seat.
Mhm.
But UNC was the same thing. These players were selling off their tickets or the cheaper tickets their families got as a result for being a part of Carolina football. Were selling them to other people and just the general populations, which in this day and age, that is about the only thing a student athlete can't do outside of gamble, which that got overturned today.
Yeah.
Outside of gamble on college sports, selling your free student tickets is one of the only things you can't do. So I'll let you take it away. I just want to preface that.
Yeah, and Armand Hawkins, the cornerback coach from North Carolina, was suspended amid these allegations of and impermissible benefits to the players, including sideline passes for family members. Yeah. So
I,
he's probably gone.
when I hear of impermissible benefits, I think of Patino, but I don't. I'm not getting the vibe it was Patino-esque.
I don't know. I'm going to be honest. I don't really care. Can we forfeit the rest of the season? Can we?
I do have a question for you, and this answer is probably fuck no, considering how the defenses looked. A lot of people, and Bill hasn't really denied this yet, are thinking that Bill's just trying to get Steve a job. After how Steve Belichick's defense has looked, would you want him gone too?
No, I want him gone. I want his. I want his. I mean, yes, but like, no, I don't want him. I'm sorry. I thought the question was going in a different direction, but I don't think I want a football program anymore. I'm good with just supporting Notre Dame and then watching like UNC basketball and everything else. Ah, I don't know how to say it other than this. We're ass. Like we suck. Like there's only so many ways I can put it. Uh, li- I mean, Max Johnson got 213 yards passing this game, so that was good.
I thought y'all were gonna stay in it based on how your first quarter looked. I'm like, oh, they're starting Max Johnson.
Yeah,
Maybe they've seen reason, and then Max Johnson better.
yeah, no. He
He
didn't
didn't
throw
throw
a pick though,
picks.
so I'll take
It
that
could have
win.
been worse.
Yeah, could have been better. Could have been a lot
Yeah,
better.
but no. Um, yeah, I really don't know what to say when it comes to that. I was completely wrong because I said I don't think he'll be too like. I didn't think Bill Belichick would be awful, but I didn't think he'd be good either. And turns out he's just, in the words of Reese Davis, they're bad.
But we'll always have that one drive.
That one driver, I forget who that was like, that was a national championship drive. I mean, they did look good for a drive, but then they got off script. The script ran out.
Yeah.
So
Can we talk about good teams?
yeah, we'll go on. We'll
Let's.
start on other disgruntled fan bases. The only thing I'll touch on about the Campbell game for NC State was if you went on NC State Twitter, you couldn't tell they were up 56-7. You would have thought they were down 56-7. And both UNC and Duke's Barstool accounts touched on this. They were like, UNC fans are like, in other news, over to NC State Twitter, you could not tell they're winning 56-7. Every little mistake. Like, would our freshman punt returner muffed a punt you would have thought he just lost a fucking game on Twitter. Everyone was like, "You've got to be shitting me!" And mind you, it was 49-7 at that time. We had the third and fourth strings and not even the second strings, and they went 3 and out. And Twitter lost its fucking mind. The fourth strings, yes, the fourth strings went 3 and out. We had the fucking walk-ons out there, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, God forbid, 4 strings worth of injuries happen." Yeah, it's you know how like far-fetched that is for that to happen. I mean, at the quarterback role, that's not unprecedented. That happened in 2022 when we had fucking Ben Finley play quarterback for 2 games. But all I'm saying is, like, yes, I understand the fans are disgruntled. Yes, do I want Dave Doran gone at the end of the season? But should we? Is it good for morale that we're acting like we're down 56-7 when we're up 56-7? Probably not. That's probably not helping our cause. But all I'll say is, I think if Doran wants to keep his job at all at the season, he's got to beat Notre Dame. And I know that's probably not going to happen, but hey, all I'll say is NC State coaches, when their jobs are on the line, have done immaculate things. Kevin Keats was told, "Listen, buddy, if you don't right the ship, you're gone." And then he goes to a Final Four. But then that didn't work twice in a row because
Hang
the
on.
next time we told
Explain to me why winning. Okay, like I understand how winning against Notre Dame can save Dave Doran's job, but explain to me how losing to Notre Dame is going to get Dave Doran fired. Explain that one to me.
the main complaint among a lot of people is he's really struggled to win road games.
Uh-huh.
And he's already lost some inexcusable games this year.
Yeah.
And they're saying at this point, every big game is a must win. I mean, in college football, you're gonna have games that you drop just
Correction.
inexplicably. Just
He inexcusable. He lost to Virginia and he lost to Virginia Tech. I'm
we
sorry.
beat
Like,
Virginia.
I mean, if you lost to Duke and you lost to Virginia Tech, I don't think Duke is an inexcusable loss. And yes, the Virginia Tech loss was bad, but like, I'm not gonna lie. Don't
There
lie
was
to me. That's
extenuating circumstances.
I'm not gonna lie. It's almost par for the course for NC State.
Although Virginia Tech at home was not par for the Duke on the road, yes. We struggle at Duke on the road. That there's historical precedence there, but
Yes.
Virginia Tech at home, there's not. And
So
I
like,
get the athletic department's like, yeah, there's losses. I'm not talking about DJ Elliott. I'm talking about Dave Doran going, go fucking win that for your coworker. But God forbid we ask Dave to go above and beyond for once. Dave Doran, when he's asked not to get a C on the test, is like, really? Like, come on. Like, what do you mean I have to win more than 6 games?
I
But
mean,
no,
I think he's just gonna retire after this season. I think there's just going to be a mutual agreement, like, okay, let's just go our separate ways. Because
his buyout's 20 million as well. If he's
yeah,
fired before a certain point, because we re-signed him after 2023.
yeah,
When we went
I don't,
8-4, which I'll admit there was some precedent to re-sign him at 8-4. We started that season 1-3, and eking out 8-4, I will admit, was an accomplishment with that schedule.
yeah,
But I will say, in my mind, out of the ranked teams remaining on our schedule, which would be Florida State, Georgia Tech, Miami, and Notre Dame, he needs to take half of those in my mind to stay. In order for me to be okay with him staying, he needs to take half of them, which pretty much means he's going to have to beat Georgia Tech and Florida State. Which I will say, Georgia Tech, there's precedent there. I mean, we can beat them. I mean, look, fucking Wake Forest practically got fucked. Wake Forest had them beat. But
yeah.
Florida State at home, I don't think is ridiculous. After the 2 most recent games for Florida State, I don't think that's the most ridiculous thing to say after how their offense looked. Now, The key is how's their offense going to look in the games before the state game. But what I thought was going to happen to Florida State's offense has already started happening this week. And yes, of course, I guess pivoting into the. Now we'll get to that later. But State,
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I don't think he needs a win this weekend against Notre Dame to help his cause, but I think he needs a good showing. A good showing would go a long way for him right now.
Yeah, I mean, you see, here's the thing that like respectfully pisses me off about NC State fans. Like, I'm not a Dave Doran fan by any means, but I just don't like posing like the rest like, oh, Notre Dame that's a must-win game for Dave Doran to keep his job. In my mind, I'm sorry, no, it's not. Like, if Dave Doran, I mean, I'll say this: if they come out 6-6 and get a bowl game, I think that's a win for this NC State team. In my book,
It's a win for Dave Doran.
yeah. You got droid voice right now.
It's still there.
Yep.
I feel like that's a win for Dave Doran.
Yeah.
Because we have a top 10 quarterback in the nation. We have a top 10 running back in the nation and a top 15 wide receiver. 6-6 with that, that's coaching at that point. There are teams that only have one of the three and are like gonna end up 9-3, 8-4. Like this schedule is very 8-4able, like Dave Doran special, 8-4able, and he lost to Virginia Tech. Duke, I'll excuse, it's a road conference game, but he was at one point was in position to win that game and he didn't. And I will say, when the fans get pissed off enough, apparently they have some pull, because I unfortunately thought we were going to be stuck with Keats for another year, but I guess the fans threw enough of a fit, we got fucking rid of him.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows what happens? Do I think we have the money to get rid of him? No, not right now. With the amount of money we've put into basketball and the amount of thank yous we've gotten from Will Wade for all the donations, I don't think there's much money to put into anywhere else. I think we've put football level money into basketball, and I think that's going to pay dividends. And I do think that is what we needed to do.
Yeah.
For a program with historical precedent, what we were achieving, when I say what Dave Doran was doing was inexcusable, what the basketball team was doing was inexcusable. Top 10 arena in capacity, 2 national championships total, like that's for as much like recruiting pool as NC State used to have, like in the 80s and early 90s. It's just like NC State became a sad former like shell of its former self. We needed to fix that before we fix football. At this rate, that needed to get fixed. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of when it comes to historical success and relevancy, it's always been basketball. Like my dad growing up, what he'd talk about is he goes, like, successful year for NC State athletics was finishing in the top 2 or 3 in conference in basketball and going to the tournament as a high as between a 1 and a 4 seed, and football winning like 7 games and beating either Duke or Carolina. He's like, that was a successful season considered by the fans. But he's like, unfortunately, we've thrown a little bit of money into football, and we've seen some recent success in football, going 9-3, or with Phillip Rivers going 10-2. So he's like, unfortunately, there's a little bit of recent, reason for people to expect more.
Yeah.
But all I'll say is Dave Doran has reached his peak. He may pull out another season if we let him stay. He'll pull out another like 8-4, 9-3 season if we let him stay. But I think, unfortunately, we need to find some way to part way. Think of the Bill Belichick way. We need to find some. We need to find some mess ups, if you will, We need to find some dirt.
Cause.
Pause.
Yeah, I mean, just going back to NC State's schedule, like, again, granted, this just might be from the perspective of a non-NC State fan. I can see, like, 6-6 with like the rest of the schedule. I don't think is bad. 7 wins, I actually think would be like pretty good. I mean, oh, Pitt, I don't know what to think of Pitt. Um, Pitt is weird.
This week, they were good. The previous 2 weeks, ass.
Yeah, I mean, like if Pitt, if it, like, I'll be lenient and I'll give that one to State, and then North Carolina, easy up,
And
easy.
that's 6 wins right there.
No,
8 wins is still doable. 8 wins is still doable, but that means we're gonna have to take 2 out of 4 from Notre Dame, Pitt, or Georgia Tech, and Florida State. We're gonna have to take 2 of the 4, which I think.
I'll reassess what you said. You say Notre Dame's a must win. I think Pitt is the must win
It's
because
must win.
Pitt is the must win because that with how NC State plays Pitt, I would be able to assess, okay, they could like take it to Georgia Tech, or okay, they could take it to Florida State. If they lay down and die to Pitt, I'm sorry, you actually probably have good cause to fire Doran at that scenario, in my opinion. But putting it on the Notre Dame game, I think is a little ridiculous, and it's asking a little bit too much.
Well, what they're also saying is, and I realize this is with any team, like even outside, unless you're Alabama, road ranked games are going to be difficult.
Yes.
Like when both teams are ranked, I think
Mhm.
every team except for maybe Alabama, when you're going up against a road ranked team, you're probably going to lose. Unless you're the previous head coach, Tom O'Brien, who he would lose those games like the Virginia Tech game. He'd lose to a coachless team, but then the next week, and this happened on more than one occasion with him, he'd go win at number 15 Texas. Like inexplicably, like I'm talking like the flukiest of fluke win.
Mhm.
And that happened like 3 or 4 times in his 6-year tenure. Like he'd be like, he'd end up bowl eligible, and he ended up with 9 wins more often than he didn't. But in his down seasons, he'd lose to like an 0-8 Duke team. But then he'd put absolute belt to some SEC team on the road, and everyone would be like, what the fuck's going on? What do you mean? And so everyone's expectations would be up, and then he'd lose to a Wake Forest. But no.
I mean, hell, at this point, I'm not going to lie. I never thought I would say this before. If I'm UNC, I might even consider hiring Dave Doran. I might consider it at this point. And Gareth knows. I would never expect these words to be coming out of my mouth. But honestly,
Hayden's like, what's Dave Doran doing right now? What's Dave Doran been up to?
Hey, you up? Want to live in the same spot where you live at? I got a job for you.
Want to drive 35 extra minutes? I mean, I don't even know at this point. It's just,
I mean,
I wouldn't even wish that upon you guys. You want to go 8-4 one season, and then with the same exact and then with the same exact players the next season go 6-6, and 3 of those 6 losses are like, you mean we could have beaten number 1 whoever if Dave Doran
look at me when I say this, Gareth. Look at me when I say this. Yes.
Aiden would rather go bowl eligible and lose the most winnable games.
Yes. Is my mic working right now? Yes, I would want that.
Because Dave Doran's the master of doing the bare minimum. 5-6, game on the line. Yeah, I'll beat Carolina.
Hell, at this rate, I'd take Vladimir Putin coaching UNC right now if it means we could get bowl eligible.
I mean, bowl eligibility is obviously still on the table. for you
No,
guys.
it's
I
not
just
for
don't
us.
think it
It's not. Stop this
mathematically.
propaganda. Okay, in theory, yes, you do have to win out your games, but I'm sorry. No, after this bye this week, what, Cal at Cal? No, we're going to get railed at Cal. Virginia looks good now. They're going to kill us. Syracuse, the spirit of Steve Angeli is going to come down in the Carrier Dome or whatever they're calling that dome now. I don't know.
The
Is
JMH Wireless Dome.
the Carrier Dome. Screw all that advertisement BS. Steve Angeli is going to come down and he's going to will his team to victory on that one. Stanford's probably going to beat us. Stanford's probably going to rock us. Wake Forest, that's a tough one. Never thought I'd say that before. Duke, more like going to puke in our lunch and force us to eat it. They're going to kill us. NC State, I'm going to go to that game and I'm going to watch an ISIS-style beheading video happening in real time in Carter Finley Stadium. And if Gareth comes too, he's going to be like, Aiden, look away. They're killing them right now. And I'm like, no, I need to watch this. This is all our fault. We deserve this.
All I'll say is
We're
watching the
going
Clemson
2
game.
and 10.
Watching the Clemson game in that first quarter, I'm like, holy shit. State may drop 60 on these guys at this rate.
They might drop 100. They might drop 100.
I thought Clemson was going to drop 100 for a second. When they scored 28 in the first quarter, like, shit, they might 100 burger their ass. They might win this thing 112-0.
Anyway, in other Carolina college football news, we had Wake Forest beating Virginia Tech 30-23.
How does it feel to live my dream? Wait for us. How does it feel to have a coach that doesn't just lay down?
I mean, Wake Forest had Virginia Tech starting to show a lot more life now, but I'll give it to Wake Forest. Obviously, had one hell of a second quarter, going scoring one touchdown early in the second quarter and then scoring back-to-back touchdowns in the later half of the quarter. There were a couple of miscues. I'm thinking like the interception in the third quarter on Wake Forest part. There was it definitely wasn't like the best performance of Wake Forest, but they did what needed to be done to get the win on the road. And hell, in this league, in this conference, that's good enough. But Duke also wins has a dominant performance in a nightcap against California. Duke's offense just absolutely went off on California. That second half really kind of sealed the deal, but Duke was just firing on all cylinders in the first half of the game. Darian Mensah was able to throw for 2 touchdowns. We got 2 rushing touchdowns from Nate Shepard. The offensive power of Duke looks really good, and if I'm you and if I'm NC State, I'm saying, hey, that Duke loss does not look as bad as like maybe once previously advertised.
Yeah.
But
Moving around.
Going over to other Carolina related college football games. Charlotte loses in a big manner to South Florida. We kind of saw this going in. Charlotte just doesn't really look that good, and South Florida was able to dominate, scoring 54 points. South Florida is just one of those group of 5 teams that looks really, really good right now. And moving it on, did App State play? Yeah, App State got the win over Oregon State, 27-23.
That's not the storyline of that game. App State rushed the field after beating 0-5 Oregon State. Oregon State's the first team that's in oh shit mode now. If Oregon State loses another game, there's no bowl eligibility, which I think they may not win another game.
I mean, let's look at
They're bad.
Oregon. Like, yeah, they're bad, but let's see. They got Wake Forest this week.
Loss.
They might get they got to win. I think they can win against Lafayette, and that's it.
Lafayette College, Pennsylvania, or Louisiana Lafayette?
Lafayette College, Pennsylvania.
Oh, so we're on with like the fucking Jaguar.
Yep.
I'd say that's a win.
Yeah.
In my book.
Yeah.
Not trying to be too, you know.
I'm not trying to be a negative Nancy, but Oregon State looks bad. But I'll give it to them. I mean, they looked coherent against Houston and App State, so there's that. But all right, let's take this. Let's start talking about games that actually matter. Miami versus Florida State. This one, really interesting. Florida State made that fourth quarter push to make it a more interesting game, but Miami looked pretty dominant throughout the entirety of the game. Carson Beck throwing for 4 touchdowns. He looked good, as always. Castellanos, it's just this tale of like 2 Castellanos. You got 2 passing touchdowns, but also 2 interceptions. Those interceptions coming at a very, very inopportune times earlier in the game, especially with that second quarter interception and the third quarter interception when their offense hit the field for the first time in the second half. But Florida State, once it was like 28-3, kind of started putting things together a little bit, but it was just a little bit too little too late. Didn't have enough time to really seal the come from behind victory. But I think the main story of this is just Miami's is continuing their dominance, and Miami does what Miami's going to do. Really good performance by Carson Beck, and this Miami team's looking pretty formidable. Really, definitely one of the top teams in college football right now.
Yeah, I think the story of the day is just turnovers. Miami scored most of their points off of turnovers. If you look outside of the drives immediately following Florida State turnovers, it's a lot of 3 and outs for both teams.
Yeah.
Like outside of the turnovers, the game was kind of a snooze fest. I mean, that could have just been because I passed out because I hadn't slept very much and I'd worked for half the day. But I mean, the first quarter is at least entertaining, but for the most part, both teams' defense did the job. It's just when Florida State's offense fortunately made a mistake and it put extra pressure on their defense. I think Miami's one of the better teams in the conference. I think they may win the conference at this rate. Virginia may have something to say about that. I think Florida State is still good. I just don't think they're going to be as good as people thought. I think what's on still on the table is my prediction, how I thought they'd start off kind of hot, and then they kind of sputter out and finish out around that 8-4, 9-3 mark. Although I do think I need to look at their schedule. But I think there's still a lot of winnable games in their schedule. But I do think the NC State and the Florida game are going to present unique challenges because they finish at NC State. It's a night game at Carter Finley, which the historical precedence there is they are not good at night games in Carter Finley. Like, it has been rough sailing the past couple ones for them. Like, outside of 2017, night games at Carter Finley have been a little bit of a rough showing for them. Or that might have been 2015, but a rough showing for them.
Yeah.
Blown leads, getting blown out. them just needing to run the clock out and kick a field goal, and their quarterback throws the ball into triple coverage on 1st and 10. I really don't need to go on. But
Yeah.
then they finish with Florida. I think that they could be poised for a pretty rough end of the season. Other games around the ACC, one game I want to highlight that I think a lot of people didn't think this team was going to win is Virginia Louisville.
Mm-hmm.
Virginia got it done. They got it done in
Mm-hmm.
overtime versus Louisville. Um, I will say one thing I've been wrong about was I thought I'd be a little bit more worried about Miller Moss in Louisville, but it really kind of seems like he's done his job. He's a quarterback who's done his job. And I'm not
Yes.
saying he's not talented. It's just he's not really elevating them, but he's not also harming them, if you get what I'm saying. He's just the one who happens to be throwing the ball.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I think Virginia did a great job to win on the road. Louisville's a hard place to play. And they ended up getting it done early. They did blow a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter. But hey, I mean, it's a road conference win against a decent Louisville team who's 4-1. Chandler
Mm-hmm.
Morris. While other teams now know to cue in on him, but Chandler Morris was still good and wasn't the reason wasn't the cause for any liabilities. But everyone basically, the name of the game for Virginia is when everyone does their job for Virginia, they work like a well-oiled machine. And
Mm-hmm.
more often than not, everyone does their job for Virginia. And I think that's what they're a consistent team and they do the little things right. And their one loss has come because they did everything right, but they fell apart on the last play. Like they just couldn't get it done in the last play. And I think that's a sign they're a good team. And I think we may see them in the ACC championship game facing Miami.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, Going around the top 25, finding matchups that really speak to me. There's one that I've been waiting to talk about all weekend. One that when I saw it, I was like, this is going on the pod. Penn State. What happened? I mean, this loss just speaks for itself. You lost to an 0-4 UCLA team. Your defense gets absolutely dominated by a team without a coach. They score 42 on you, and Drew Aller needs to bring his team back from the dead in the second half just to make it a 42-37 ball game. It was not good. Uh, just James Franklin's on the hot seat right now. Like there's no other question about it. Penn State just does not look motivated. I think they were still hungover from that tough loss to Oregon, but I can't say I didn't tell you. I just did not buy into this Penn State team at all. I was not buying into the preseason propaganda of this Penn State team. I knew they were fraudulent from the beginning, and this loss to UCLA just kind of it's revealing a lot because now we're looking at those 3 wins Penn State has, and we're having a lot of questions. Your only wins so far this season are Nevada, FIU, and Villanova. How is Penn State against a Power Four competition? How are they in the Big Ten? You can make the argument like if things continue on the same trend that they're going right now, we could have an absolute dumpster fire for the rest of this year for Penn State right now, and it's just not looking good whatsoever. And I'm pulling the alarm if I'm a Penn State fan right now. Like this is almost I don't like saying there are like inexcusable or excusable losses. Most losses in my mind can be explained away to an extent. Like at the end of the day, you lost, but like there's always something. This is an inexcusable loss for Penn State. There is no reason you should have lost this game. It was a trap game. Yes, I'll give it to you. Trap game after a big weekend. didn't go your way. Sometimes, like these big losses, they seep into the next week. But you got to get your guys right. This is bad. This is horrible.
What I will say is, I think we've seen. I will say, the second coming, because this guy has already cemented himself as a college football hero. Jerry Neuheisel, son of NFL legend and UCLA legendary coach Rick Neuheisel. Jerry Neuheisel, a week before the firing of UCLA's head coach, was a position coach in a GA. On 2 days' notice, he had to come up with his own playbook and play style and implement it. And maybe it's beginner's luck, but if you install a playbook in 2 days and go out there and drop 42 on a power 4 opponent, you're doing something right. Some of that may be a fluke, but I will say, Jerry Neuheisel, you are doing something right. And I think we will be seeing him in the sport of, at least sport of football coaching wise, for a long time. Mm-hmm. Do I think he's going to end up with a head coaching job at the end of the year? No. But if you're able to go from just a regular old position coach and go out there and just, yes, did Nico to an extent will that game to happen? Yes, he had 5 total touchdowns. But if you were able to scheme a quarterback who's been struggling himself to get 5 touchdowns against supposedly one of the top teams in your conference, I think you're doing something right. And I forget the name of their interim head coach. He's obviously doing things right as well. But I will say, 10 years ago, the UCLA starting quarterback went down. Jerry Neuheisel stepped in and was carried off the field. Exactly 10 years later, Jerry Neuheisel, on 2 days' notice, installs the playbook and gets carried off the field. I usually dislike UCLA for whatever reason. I'm not usually a big fan. But you know what? For the sake of Jerry Neuheisel and just seeing where this guy goes, I'm not a UCLA fan. I'm a Jerry Neuheisel fan. Mm-hmm. I want to see this man get to bowl eligibility. This man deserves a bowl ring after instituting a play. If it comes at the expense of NC State in a bowl game, get this man a bowl ring. That is a college football moment we will talk about. This win is a win we will talk about for years to come. Even if Jerry Neuheisel ends up not making it in coaching or doesn't end up making it to the big time in coaching, people will still remember his name and be like, hey, remember that one time him and the rest of UCLA on 2 days' notice just stepped up and put the absolute belt on them? Yes. Did Penn State almost kind of come back at the end? Sure. But you had 2 days' notice.
Yeah.
You had 2 days' notice.
Yeah.
You were up. What? Yeah, you were up 27-7 at one. Like, that is a moment we will talk about for years to come. So, congrats, Penn State. Congrats, Jerry Neuheisel. That was. I stopped my workout that I was on to finish watching that game because I'm like, you know what? I hadn't heard the story of Jerry Neuheisel until midway through that fourth quarter. I stopped my run and sat on some rocks at the harbor to watch that. I'm like, you know what? I hope they pull this out.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of games that were, not inexcusable losses, but losses that have people upset right now, Texas. Now, I will say something in defense of Arch Manning. Everyone but Arch Manning's camp, everyone but the Mannings has been saying, bro, he's elite. They're like, the Mannings are saying, no, we told you to have patience. Arch was going to be a 4-year project. So I will say that. If you have both Manning brothers saying Arch is going to be a 4-year project, what's the logical? Is the logical decision to go, no, Arch is a Heisman candidate to get this year.
Arch is the second coming of Christ.
You have 2 of the greatest quarterbacks in college and pro history saying he's going to be a 4-year project. Texas fans when he's not immediately a Heisman. The Manning brothers told you. They told you he was going to be a project.
Mm-hmm.
And in the SEC, people hold the Mannings as royalty. You have SEC royalty going, he's going to be a project. He's going to be a a 5-year, with the red shirt, a 5-year quarterback. And when he doesn't immediately succeed, now, I forget if I said this last week on the podcast. I definitely said this to Aiden. I do think, I'm not saying NC State's CJ Bailey is better, but I think if we're talking sophomore quarterbacks, I think his
Yeah.
processing and field vision's better. Like, I just think, yes, in the Virginia Tech loss, I saw a lot of hesitation from CJ Bailey, but what a lot of teams are seeing, unfortunately, other teams are seeing in CJ Bailey, unfortunately, is he's able to make split-second decisions and process coverages like this. Yes, occasionally he'll make a boneheaded read, but the majority of his interceptions this year are because Bailey hits the receiver in his hands and the receiver drops it. Like half of his interceptions against Duke, they were that. Arch, on the other hand, buddy, you're staring down reads. You didn't even do this last year in your limited sample size last year. You didn't even do this last year. But what I will say is, I don't think this is just an Arch issue. It's fucking Florida. Your defense could get a stop, and it didn't look like he had much help. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I don't feel like it's necessarily fair to put this season all on Arch for Texas so far.
Absolutely. I mean, I also bought into the Arch hype a little bit too much. Seeing him on the cover of College Football 26 does something. There might be a college football, EA college football curse, because I'm not going to lie. The performances of people who end up on that cover is very hit or miss so far.
Particularly from Big Ten and SEC schools.
Yes.
I mean, look at Ryan Williams' season so far.
Yeah.
But, I mean, look at the Texas quarterbacks that have been on it.
But
please don't put CJ Bailey on it. Please don't put CJ Bailey on it. Please don't put CJ Bailey on it.
Put CJ Bailey on it and make State play in Ireland. But I mean, listen, I failed to, like, for me, I like just calling Arch Manning like a complete bust or fraud. I feel like just sounding the alarm too early. I'll admit I had too high of expectations for him. But statistically speaking, he didn't have the worst game. He had some boneheaded interceptions, but 263 passing yards and 2 touchdowns, that's not bad. That's pretty
average,
good.
right?
Yeah, that's that I in my opinion, going over 250 yards in passing in a game is about average. So he had a little bit, like, yardage wise, in my opinion, that's a little bit above average. Just off yards. And I fail to I don't think we should put this whole loss on him. I think Texas is a little bit overblown. If you're allowing like 29 points from a Florida team that's been pretty hit or miss offensively speaking, I feel like there's some issues right there. Florida couldn't score over 16 points against South Florida. This is not an offensive power. Just looking at all of their losses, Florida's losses, they're not an offensive power whatsoever. Their only good offensive game up until this game was Long Island. Fins up. But I think this is more on just the preparation of this game, and I think Texas is just a little bit overhyped. And looking at the rest of their season, it's not going to get any easier. But I think you just need to recalibrate your expectations for this year. I mean, everybody hears at the beginning of the year, people are saying this team's a playoff team, this is a national championship team. You can really only put expectations on your team after like the first 5 games. This is kind of the point in the season where we start going like, okay, what are the actual expectations for this team? Is it a playoff caliber team? Is it a bowl caliber team? Are we going to be cool with a 6-6 season, or are we going to be uh, desperately trying to avoid 2-10? I mean, that's been the story with UNC, and that's going to be the story for a lot of these bigger teams that had a lot of propaganda pushed behind them. The Penn State and Texas propaganda this year was very potent, to say the least. But I think it's a bad loss, but at the end of the day, I can't say that moving forward, I'm going to be expecting too much from Texas. Like
Yeah.
I think we just need to recalibrate our expectations for them. I think they're a decent team, but by no means do I think they're a playoff caliber team.
Yeah, I think they'll be a nice 8-4 or 9-3 at this rate.
Yeah.
But now, moving on to other games around the top 25 that we want to look at. This is one I want. I mean, I know there's a bigger game, but this is what I want to touch on because I feel like we're already going to talk about this game. But this game I want to touch on Iowa State Cincinnati.
Hmm.
I feel like this has been a long time coming. I think Iowa State's good. A lot of teams have been able to take them down to the wire, and have not had their number, but you get what I'm saying. Like they've won very losable games, if you know what I'm saying.
Yes.
And Cincinnati was able to get it done on the road, 4-1 Cincinnati, or at home. Iowa State was on the road, and just an interesting thing about this game on the last play when they were starting to do the laterals. Since Iowa State's tight end just kind of gave up. He had running room. I mean, yeah, there was contact and he'd have to lateral the ball, but he just kind of walked out of bounds. And that's just something you really don't want to see, particularly from your tight end with, staying undefeated, being on the line. And that's not something I'd want to see from anyone on NC State. Even though, the playoffs, some like stuff like that's out of reach. That's not something I'd want to see for a team that's still fighting for something.
Yeah.
Like that's just kind of an embarrassing look. I mean, Iowa State didn't play a bad game. Rocco Becht had 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. Sama, their running back, had 18 carries for 96. Skillsden, their receiver, had 105 yards and a touchdown. I just think the main issue here was Iowa State's defense wasn't able to shut down Cincinnati. I mean, Cincinnati didn't. I mean, I'm not saying, they let Cincinnati do anything by any stretch of the imagination. That Cincinnati offense was humming more than we've seen it at all
Hmm.
this year. Sorsby
Yeah.
had 214 yards and 2 touchdowns. Their running back Pryor on 10 carries had 111 yards. But I will say this is a Cincinnati team whose offense hasn't exactly. Okay, let me clarify. Outside of their games against FCS teams, this offense hasn't exactly been humming. I mean, they only managed 34 against Bowling Green. Yeah, they beat Kansas 37-34. They've scored 38 against Iowa State, but before that, I mean, they only managed 20 against Nebraska, and Nebraska's okay.
Yeah.
Like, you cannot let Cincinnati drop almost 40 on you if you're a ranked team. I'm sorry. That's not, like you said, you don't want to call anything inexcusable, but I'll just say that's not a recipe for success, allowing a team like, and I'm not no disrespect to Cincinnati, but if you're number 14 and you're on the road, particularly in conference against a team that struggled in your conference as of recent, you can't really let them score 40 on you, particularly with how their offense has operated all year.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's definitely a big win for Cincinnati. Cincinnati's definitely looking a lot more impressive as these games are going on. Got a good win against Kansas the week before, and now a good one against Iowa State. They're one of those teams that I think is now in sleeper contention for the playoffs right now, especially depending how they play out these last couple of games. Every game seems very winnable for them, and I think 11-1 Cincinnati is definitely in the wheelhouse right now, which is something I didn't expect, because Cincinnati just hasn't been on our radar as much. But keeping it over to the Big 12, there's Texas Tech versus Houston. Texas Tech has been looking absolutely dominant. I believe, in my opinion, they're a top five team right now, especially with all the chaos and stuff that's been going on right now. Texas Tech has gotten it together after this past off season. They put in that oil money on college football, and they've been just going on an absolute run. Big wins against Utah and now Houston. I think this Texas Tech team is another playoff contender right now in a Big 12 that you can't really get a good feeling on just by looking at them. I mean, like the Big 12 is just one of those inconsistent conferences that just kind of like eats their own. But I'll say this: there seems to be a lot more parity among all the conferences this year. I don't think there's a exceptionally outstanding team in the SEC, but there's a lot of good teams, and the same can probably be said with the Big Ten and the Big 12 right now. The ACC is just the ACC, so
The ACC is just Miami and Virginia right now.
yes, and Georgia Tech. With cheese,
Georgia Tech,
Squidward, with
It's
cheese.
cheese. I mean,
But
even Duke's getting thrown in there now.
yeah, I mean, why not? Why not? But good win for Texas Tech. Going back to the SEC, there was a big matchup between Alabama and Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt was looking really solid in that first half. It was looking pretty close between Alabama, but Alabama just able to pull away in that second half. Diego Pavia making one crucial interception that kind of swung the momentum in Alabama's favor. Um, Overall, uh, Vanderbilt, I was both pleasantly surprised but also disappointed by their performance. I'm not going to lie, this was a big a test for Vanderbilt. We were going to see what type of team they are, and see if they can replicate the lightning in the bottle success that they had last year against Alabama, only this time in Tuscaloosa. But unable to do so. Alabama's starting to look a lot better after their loss to Florida State. I think they're really kind of like putting it all together again, and definitely are one of the top dogs in the SEC right now. So business as usual for Alabama. We can stop on this Alabama's washed propaganda right now. I think Ty Simpson is definitely their guy in quarterback. He's looked incredibly good, throwing for 340 passing yards and 2 touchdowns in this game, especially Jam Miller. In running back, they have a really good backfield, and I think their offense is starting to really click right now, and things are starting to lie into place for Alabama. So, big win for Alabama, a disappointing loss for Vanderbilt, but I think they're still in it when like this SEC race right now. I can very well see Vanderbilt maybe being like a top 3 or 4 team in the SEC this year.
Yeah. The only other game I'd like to touch on, just because I like to keep up with the certain type of school outside of NC State. We had one of the first games, the Commander-in-Chief Trophy. We had Navy versus Air Force. Pretty solid game for considering the rough start Air Force has had. Air Force was able to keep it really, really close. The interesting thing about this game, I want everyone to go ahead and take a look at the passing yards in that game. This is not very usual for a service academy game. Blake Horvath, the Navy quarterback, with 340 passing yards for 3 touchdowns, 130 on the ground. Even Air Force, but Air Force has kind of thrown the ball around a little bit more. Air Force had Sarska had 212 yards through the air and 152 on the ground. Although I will say, when it comes to these service academy matchups, they kind of have to abandon the option and you see some really creative play call and some very like Aiden and I are big X's and O's guys. It's fun to watch.
Hmm.
And the X's and O's are kind of less so of a thing in college. I mean, they are, but to an extent, college is just are you able to get it done that day? Whereas the NFL, it's a lot more X's and O's. Where you see like NFL level X's and O's in college is these matchups between service academies because you kind of have to abandon the option. I mean, these guys see the option day in and day out and pretty much know how to render it useless. So this is how you end up with, Navy with 340 passing yards. Now, I know among service academies, there's been a trend recently to incorporate more spread concepts to make it more difficult to predict. And they've made it a habit of taking quarterbacks who, while have the ability to throw the ball or run the ball, have a bit more throwing ability than Navy, Army, and Air Force quarterbacks of the past. But I know it's a close one, but I still think this is a good one for Navy. It's a rivalry game, so anything's bound to happen. Navy's still 5-0, definitely in the running for a college football playoff spot if they're able to. Yeah, that's all I got for this week. Should we hop into next week, or are there more games you want to highlight?
Quick recap on the Notre Dame Boise State game. Notre Dame gets the win, 28-7 over Boise State. Main takeaways from this game, I'm a lot more high on the Notre Dame defense as I was a couple weeks ago. Their defense is starting to step up a little bit more, and the offense does hit and has really solid production. No crucial mistakes, but the inability to capitalize on turnovers was something that I wasn't necessarily like the happiest with. Now, granted, Boise State threw 4 interceptions, and in any game, you want to see them to capitalize on that. But the first interception, end of the first half, only like 8 seconds left when they got that pick. I'll let that one slide. Second interception, I can't really excuse as much. It immediately followed by a 3-and-out. Boise State does a turnover on downs. Notre Dame's able to capitalize off that. But the last interception of the game, I'll let that slide too. I mean, game's already out of reach. 2 minutes left on the clock. No time to score. But the third interception in the fourth quarter led to another 3-and-out right there. So I feel like, granted, there were opportunities to score off these turnovers. I feel like it doesn't encapsulate the whole picture. But if I'm Notre Dame, I want to see more offensive production after like these turnovers. I'll give you 2 of them. I'm like, okay, end of game, that's all right. The other 2, I think I got to see a little bit more, if that makes sense. Because it's a weird spot to be in. I mean, if any team's able to win by 21, that's usually a good sign. But I would have just expected a little bit more offensive production, especially from like such a like good offensive power. But at this point, like I'm just like nitpicking. So good win for Notre Dame. We can move on to this week and predictions. I think first one, if we're keeping it in Carolina before we go abroad. We doing that? All right.
Yeah, let's do that.
Want to start with the State Notre Dame game?
Yeah, State Notre Dame game. I'm curious to see how this game goes. I could see this game going a million different ways, considering the different brands of NC State football we've gotten throughout the season. We've gotten very good football, we've gotten mediocre football, and we've gotten shitty football. I'm really curious to see who turns up in South Bend from State. Do we see a Dave Doran special, or do we see a game where Dave Doran kind of keeps himself more reserved and just lets the other coaches do their job? Are we going to see a Dave
Doran special, or are we going to see a special Dave Doran?
Yes, is what I'm saying. When Dave Doran's special, great things have happened. When we've seen Dave Doran special, we've also seen great things happen, but it's been we struggle to beat good teams, and we do it in bad teams. We do it in crazy fashion. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I think we're gonna absolutely smash it and win this game, but I think we can be able to make this a close, respectable game if Dave Doran just lets the other coaches do what the fuck they're supposed to do. If Dave Doran tries to get because from what I've seen and just based off of how State's played, I think Dave Doran's a little bit of a micromanager when it comes to things, and I think Dave Doran's just going to need to let the other coaches and players just do their job. No, I'm not saying absolutely turn CJ Bailey loose and go throw whatever ball you want. Like, that's not what I'm saying. But you understand what I'm trying to say. Just let people do their job and, like, let what's working work and not try and change it. Because Dave Doran, if something's working, he wants both sides of the ball to be working. Like, if the passing game's really hitting, yes, when the passing game's really hitting, you throw in, like, a couple honesty checks with a few runs. No. If the run's not working, but the pass is working, Dave Doran will just will stop, drop, and roll to get the fucking run game to start working, to the point it's cost us games before. Yes, I'm not saying you don't throw in a couple honesty checks where you run the ball just to keep the defense honest. And okay, you take your 1 yard gain and move on with it. No, he will stop everything, try and get the run game going. I swear to fuck, if the passing game's working and we're going tit for tat with Notre Dame, so help me God, if he stops to try and get the run game involved, I'm going to fucking lose it. I'm going to start calling for his job. Because there's been games like this against really good ranked teams where the Florida State game in 2014, we're up 28 points on the number 1 team in the nation. The passing game is flowing. It's moving. And he's like, wait a minute, we can't run the ball right now. Let's try and run the ball.
Run the ball.
And we go 3-8 like 4 times or 3 and out 4 times in a row. I swear, if we're going punch for punch with Notre Dame and the running game's not working, so be it. Throw the fucking ball. I don't care. In that instance, turn CJ Bailey loose. Mm-hmm. Let him cook. He leads the NCAA in yards and total touchdowns. Let him do his thing. There's a reason ECU came back in that game. Oh, the run game's not working right now. Let's stop and work on it. No. Keep letting him throw the ball. The Duke game, you decide to get cute. The passing game was on the other side of the coin. The passing game wasn't working. The running game was. What did you do? Let's get the passing game going. It's like when Patrick goes, my turn. But no, I think NC State just needs to play complementary football, and Dave Doran needs to keep his hands out of the offensive coordinator's ass. And I don't need to hear Kurt Roper rehearsing Jeffy lines that I've been seeing across TikTok. I'm not gonna get into that. I'm not gonna get into that. I'm not gonna
keep doing it and doing it and doing it. He said, "You're gonna take it," and I took it.
We're not gonna get into the full quote, but I think Aiden gets my point. Similar to what Aiden was saying, I'm curious for both of these teams. I'm curious what we're gonna get. I'm curious what version of these teams we're gonna get, because I could see this game going a million ways. I could see this game being an absolute snooze fest, and then us looking at each other at 8 p.m. on Saturday, going, "Well, that was a waste of time." No matter who wins, it's like the game's like 10-9, and we're like, "That was a waste of time." That wasn't even a defensive battle. That was just 2 offenses trying to shoot themselves in the foot, which I very well, it would not surprise me if this game ends up being like 17-6 or like 17-9, and like it's just both offenses trying to lose the game. Like Notre Dame and NC State going back and forth go, "No, I don't want to win. No, I don't want to win." Now, I do have more faith in Notre Dame's defense than I do NC State's, but Notre Dame's defense hasn't been that great either.
I don't know.
Both of these defenses have kind of been Swiss cheese from time to time. I will give it credit to them again for the Boise State game, but even without Ashton Jeanty, that offense is kind of one-dimensional. I think they're trying to make that guy, their running back, be too much like Ashton Genty. I'm sorry, Walmart Mike Myers is not coming back. Um, any initial thoughts on this game?
I mean, I do think Notre Dame's defense has really picked it up, especially against Arkansas and Boise State. I think they kind of got right after that Purdue game, and they even had a pretty good, solid performance against Miami, in my opinion. I mean, nothing like too stellar, but they had their moments against Miami. I think Notre Dame's got this one. I'm not gonna lie. I just think Notre Dame has the better tools. Uh, I really do like C.J. Bailey a lot. I think he's a great quarterback, but just the tools around Carr are going to be a lot better than tools around Bailey. I feel like Bailey's going to be forced to do too much, especially with like the line and like there's going to be glimpses of that Virginia Tech game where we just see Bailey kind of running for his life, making sure he doesn't die against uh, the defensive line. I feel like if Notre Dame's defensive line is able to really put the pressure on Bailey, they're going to force him to make some mistakes. And I think that's going to be the keys to success for Notre Dame to win this one. So I got Notre Dame winning this one. N- Not handedly, but I see them just like the line is 23 and a half points. I think that's a little much, but I can see Notre Dame winning big in that manner. I don't see them hitting the over though.
Yeah, moving on. Oh, and jumping into more of this week, we've got some interesting matchups around the ACC and the Carolinas and abroad. The first one we'll do from the Carolinas is we got Wake Forest, Oregon State. We kind of touched on this earlier. If I'm being honest, I've got Wake Forest winning this one. I know it's on the road, and I know the last time Oregon State was in Corvallis, they looked pretty competent until the fourth quarter.
Hmm.
I mean, tickets as low as $8. The line's at 2.5 for Wake Forest. I could see Wake Forest eking this one out. I think Wake Forest is slowly starting to iron out their kinks, and they're slowly starting to get that offense up and rolling. I know Claiborne's been struggling, not struggling, but I know Claiborne's production hasn't quite been there in terms of the last week, but I think he's slated for a big week. This Oregon State defense hasn't exactly been the best all season, and I think he could be slated to have a big day. Robbie
Yes.
Ashford, unfortunately, has kind of been of a liability for them. He's only got 2 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. It's not exactly the greatest stat line, but I think what's kind of helped Wake Forest is his ability to run the ball. And I think Wake Forest being able to have not only Claiborne, but being able to have kind of a two-pronged rushing attack between Ashford and Claiborne. Ashford being able to add that kind of mobile quarterback vibe to this offense has definitely been a big help. I do think Malik Murphy is going to keep Oregon State in this game. He's kind of been the only bright spot for this team. But I think Robbie Ashford and Wake Forest are going to get this done. I think
Hmm.
unfortunately Oregon State's going to end up 0-7.
I agree. I agree. I think Wake Forest. Though I'm not necessarily the most high on them, I do think they have what it takes to really bring it together against Oregon State. I think it's going to be like a little bit of a struggle because teams coming from the East Coast over to the West Coast tend to underperform, as we have seen with last week. But I think I'm just trying to figure out how Oregon State's going to blow it because I've watched more Oregon State football than I would care to admit this year, and I just don't see them getting past Wake Forest. So,
Aiden's like, make it stop. Why do I keep watching this?
but keeping it to the Carolinas, we got App State versus Georgia State. I got App State winning this one. It's at Georgia State, but App State's really I think they're had a good not get right game because it was close, but they had a solid matchup against Oregon State, and I think they're going to be bringing that momentum uh, into Georgia State. Georgia State's kind of been struggling as of late. Granted, they've had a pretty tough schedule, but nothing really about them really stands out to me. And I think App State has the better uh, quarterback play. AJ Swan, he's on when he's on, and he's really off when he's off. He's got the Jameis Winston special of 6 touchdowns and 6 INTs. So I see him continuing his Jameis Winston ways and having big plays followed up by boneheaded mistakes. So I got App State winning this one though, and UNC is on a bye this week. Thank the Lord, I don't have to watch them. And let's see, Duke's not
ECU has
playing.
a game against Tulane.
Yeah, ECU has a game against Tulane. Depends on which ECU team shows up, but Tulane overall, I think, is just more solid, and I think Tulane's going to take this one at home.
Yeah, I know I was high on this ECU team going into this year and even after the first week, but that BYU loss, I know BYU's ranked. That BYU loss is kind of ugly, and this is a very, very good Tulane team with BYU at quarterback. Um, I'm not saying ECU doesn't have the pieces to keep up, but the, they're going to have to be a little better. Peyton Hauser's going to have to be a little bit better decision making wise in order for them to stay into this. But unfortunately, I think I've got BYU and the Tulane Green Wave winning this one. I think
Yeah,
Retzlaff, the duo of Retzlaff and Haynes is going to be too much for him.
yeah. And lastly, there is Charlotte versus Army. Charlotte is a team, and although Army's been pretty inconsistent and has had some real trouble taking on conference foes like ECU, I think they have what it takes to beat Charlotte. I have them winning this matchup.
I do too. I think Army. I think that Tarleton State loss is kind of like putting a lot more, kind of a down on this team than people think. Like I don't think that says fully who they are. I mean, they've after that they've kind of come back. They've put together some decent ones. They've beaten Kansas State, and they've beaten Kansas State. They've beaten UAB. They took North Texas to the wire. I still think Army can get bowl eligible and you know head into Navy with a decent record and a chance to slug it out with them. So I still think this could be an all right Army team. But yeah, I think they've got it against Charlotte. I just think, I mean, Charlotte's, like Aiden said, Charlotte's a team.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say.
Going over to Friday, we have a really good matchup between South Florida and North Texas, Gareth. I think you would be really excited for this game. You have any input?
I know this is going to be kind of a. I know not a lot of people know a lot about North Texas outside of us too. There's not been a lot of hubbub. A lot of social media has been like, "Oh, this will just be a good game because North Texas is 5-0." I'm telling you, this North Texas team is being slept on.
Hmm.
Mestamaker, McGill. This North Texas team has had some of one of the best offenses the past couple years. This North Texas staff has been underrated. They've been able to fly under the radar and been able to build something which is not very common for these lower group of five teams. Usually the second they get a good coach with a good season, they get taken. This North Texas team has been allowed to build and build for the last couple of years, and I think that's what kind of makes them dangerous. I'm not saying I don't have faith in this USF team. I'm not saying they're going to lay down. I think this is going to be an absolute shootout
Yes.
when it comes to it. But I'd be inclined to agree with this North Texas -1.5. I've got North Texas winning this. It's in Denton. That crowd's going to be rocking. I'm pretty sure this is the first ranked team they've had in town in years. So that place is going to be absolutely hopping. Give me North Texas to win. I'll take North Texas 45-42.
Ooh,
Give me North.
ooh. I'm really excited for this game personally as well. I'm going to be trying to watch like the first half of it before I go into work, but um, it just has shootout all over here. Mestamaker, I feel like is going to have a big game for North Texas. Give me North Texas in this one as well. I'm feeling them. I mean, this is basically a playoff game right now. Winner,
Winning in.
yeah, like it's going to be hard to get in if you're either one of these teams with a loss. North Texas does not have as strong of a schedule as South Florida does, and South Florida has their loss to Miami. Not a horrible loss, but a loss
Yeah.
nonetheless. And it's hard to see a group of five school coming in with two losses. But I don't know. North Texas got me feeling really nicey right now. Give me North Texas.
Other games that I'd be interested in this weekend. I mean, obviously, I'm interested in a lot of these games. I mean, that we are a big college football podcast. That's not our only thing. But another game that I've kind of been keeping my eyes on, if you will, heading back over to the ACC, is Pitt and Florida State.
Ooh,
This is going to be a very telling game for both teams. I feel like
yeah.
this game we're going to find out a lot about both of these teams.
Hmm.
We could find out that they're both ass. Who knows? But I think we're going to find out a lot about both teams. So for me personally, I've got Florida State winning this. I know Pittsburgh has their new quarterback with the German name I cannot pronounce. They've benched Eli Holstein, who's had kind of a if you look at it statistically, it has not a bad year, but I think you've really got to kind of look into actually what happened in those games to kind of get a sense, if you know what I mean.
Hmm.
I'm not sure he's injured. I don't think he's injured. I think he was properly benched. Um, yeah. I think Eli Holstein was just benched. So, and Pat Narduzzi knows what he's doing. He's been at Pitt forever. He's had good teams at Pitt, so I'll give him that. Tommy Castellanos is kind of heading down the Jameis Winston route right now. He's 6 TDs, 5 interceptions. I do think that not a get right game, but I think this is a game where Florida State will kind of write their narrative. I'm not saying Pitt's a bad team. I just think it's at Florida State. It's a noon kickoff. It's gonna be hot. I think Florida State's got this one.
I have to agree. I have to agree. I think Florida State just has the better players, and Pitt has just seemed to be very fraudulent in these like bigger games. West Virginia and Louisville stick out to me the most. I mean, there are two losses, um, both really tough. I think that Pitt's not going to be able to keep it together on the road against a Florida State team that has something to prove right now.
I've
But
got nothing to do on Saturday. Sorry. Yeah, you can go ahead.
no. Continue, continue.
I've got nothing to do on Saturday, and because of this, I'll delve into this game
Ooh.
because I could very well go to this game.
Oh.
Clemson Boston College.
Ooh.
Chestnut Hill, 7:30 p.m. Um, I feel like Boston College is a lot better than their record suggests. I feel like they run into a lot of outside of the Pitt game. I feel like they've just run into a lot of unfortunate situations when it comes to their games. Michigan State a close loss, Stanford a close loss. That Cal game, there were some questionable calls at the end. But if you just look at their stats, this doesn't look like a 1-4 team. I mean, their quarterback, Lonigan, is 9 touchdowns to 3 interceptions and 1,200 yards. Their running backs almost got 400 yards on the ground. Their best receiver has 431 yards and 5 TDs. This does not, on paper, this does not look like a 1-4 team in my mind. This does not look like a 1-4 team in my mind. So with that being said, do not be fooled by that Carolina win. This Clemson team is ass. Cade Klubnik not having a very good year. I still think he's a good quarterback. I'm not going to say he's ass because he's shown he can be a good quarterback. But, man, this Clemson, do I do it? I mean, Aiden, I think this is the smallest Clemson line, Clemson, Georgia Tech, or Clemson, Boston College line we've seen in years.
It's 13.5 points.
Yeah. That's saying something.
Yeah.
Give me Boston College. Give me Daniel Longerin to just will the Boston College Eagles to victory. I've got faith in Bill O'Brien and Daniel Lonigan. Give me the Eagles to upset well, not even a fucking upset. They both suck. Give me Boston College to beat the Tigers.
I have to disagree with you on this one. Although this Clemson team has its holes, I think I think you're overhyping Boston College a little bit too much. Granted, they had a tough loss against Michigan State, but I'm sorry. I think that the Stanford loss was very telling to me. Losing 10 points to the Stanford just is not a good look. And although I think their offense production is pretty good, I just don't think Boston College's defense is going to be able to hold against a rather limited Clemson offense, but it's still a Clemson offense nonetheless. I got Clemson winning this one.
True.
But moving around, we got Ohio State versus Illinois. Illinois kind of showed some more life in them as of late, getting good wins against Purdue and USC, but Ohio State is starting to hit their stride right now, which is leading to a very interesting Big Ten matchup at noon. I still have questions about this Illinois team. I think they're just not on the same level of Ohio State, so I got Ohio State winning this one.
I do as well. I mean, Illinois, I've got questions about, particularly that Indiana loss. That still got me scratching my head a little. So give me Ohio State. I think Illinois could do it, but I just don't really have a lot of faith in this Illinois team at all.
Another noon kickoff, we got Alabama versus Missouri. Missouri is undefeated and has kind of fallen under the radar a little bit, but with a somewhat weak first half of the schedule, this is their first real big test, and it's against an Alabama team that's coming off a big win this past week against Vanderbilt. I think Missouri's going to show out, but I got Alabama winning this one. I feel like they've really hammered out all the kinks in their system, and I think they're ready to go for Missouri this week.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you there. I think Missouri's got this one. I think it'll be a fight, but I think Missouri's gonna come out on top. I feel like this is just their year. I mean, they have the quarterback. Penn State should have went with Pribula, not Drew. Don't turn the ball over. Aller. I mean, Pribula. There's just something about this Missouri team. I know they've had a relatively weak schedule, but even in years where they've had a good schedule, they just, they've made it look kind of rough. But this year, there's just something about them. Pribula's taking care of the ball. They're scoring. Their run game's been phenomenal. Hardy has 730 yards on the ground on only 103 carries and has 9 total touchdowns. Coleman Jr. in the receiving game's been awesome. I'm not saying Alabama's going to get blown. I think Alabama still has a great chance in this game. But for me, just something about Missouri. I think Pribula and Hardy are going to get it done. It's at home. I know it's a noon game, but I think it's going to show out. Tickets are the lowest tickets $160. So I think this crowd's going to be rocking. So give me Missouri in that one.
Going over to 3:30 kickoffs, we have Indiana versus Oregon. Oregon has the longest active regular season win streak in college football right now, and Indiana has been looking pretty hot, especially with a solid win against Illinois where they blow them out of the water. Kind of slowed things down a little bit last week against Iowa, but they're in a good position right now to shock the world. But I have to go with Oregon on this one. I feel like they're more tested, and I don't know how this Signetti team is going to be performing against a different caliber of Big Ten. We've kind of seen that they've kind of failed in the upper echelons of the Big Ten. I'm talking top dogs like Oregon and Ohio State. Illinois is definitely a good Big Ten team, but I don't put them on the same level of those two teams. So I think Indiana's going to be hitting a wall on this one.
I agree. I think it's going to be a close game, but I've got Oregon pulling this one out. I think they're just at home, and they play very well in Autzen Stadium. So give me Oregon. Maybe if this game were at a different site, I give it to Indiana. But for right now, I've got Oregon. I still think it would be a good game, and I'm still very high on Indiana. But unfortunately, I've got Oregon.
We have the River rivalry this week, Oklahoma versus Texas. Texas is trying to put things back together after a tough loss against Florida, and Oklahoma has been pretty hot as of late. Uh, the big question going into this game is Oklahoma's quarterback. Are we going to be seeing John Matter playing this weekend? He could be coming back from the injury a little bit early and could be showing out. We don't know yet. He's still on. He's still recovering, but he could be coming back this week. Gareth, what are your opinions? I think I have Oklahoma winning this one, but I'm not sleeping on this Texas team at all. I think, especially if Matter's out, it could be a good bounce back game for Texas, especially with everything going against them. And it's a rivalry game. You can expect the unexpected.
Yeah, but for me, I think even without Mateer, Oklahoma's got this. They're a pretty sound team all around. I think word on the street is Mateer's may be able to play. But even then, I've got faith in Jackson Arnold and not Jackson Arnold name. I'm blanking on the Oklahoma backup's name. I don't think it's Jackson Arnold anymore. But I've got faith in this Oklahoma team. I mean, Mateer's been good, but their running back Blaylock's also been great. I think, particularly in these rivalry games, I think it's important to establish, the run game very early. But Texas really hasn't been able to do that. I mean, Arch is their leading rusher with 160 yards. That's one point I've been wanting to make about this Texas team is they've really struggled to establish the run. So they're on top of that. Yes, Manning's been struggling, but they really haven't been doing him any favor. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, there's been not a lot of complimentary football played there in Austin. So for me, even without Mateer, I've got Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma Mateer may be back. Supposedly, the doctor that he had that did the surgery, he's optimistic he could play this week. But they said that at the very least, he'll be ready in an emergency situation.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're down big and they need to drive.
Yeah.
So for me, I've got Oklahoma winning this one. John Mateer legacy game incoming if he's able to play.
Going over to 7:30 games, we have a Big 12 matchup that I feel like is flying under the radar for a lot of people. But Texas Tech versus Kansas. This Kansas team does look pretty solid and had some tough losses against Cincinnati and Missouri, but both very good teams. It could be, if Texas Tech isn't careful, a little bit of a trap game for them. I like this Texas Tech team a lot. I do have them in my top 5, and I think they're going to show out in this game. So I got Texas Tech winning this one in a very close matchup.
I've got Texas Tech as well. They've looked very, very impressive as of late, and I've been really impressed just with their team all around. I think the money they've invested into this program has done them dividends because they've been on the cusp, but they've just been right there. You know what I'm saying? They've been right there when it comes to success. It's just they haven't been able to take that final step. So for me, I've got Texas Tech in this one as well.
After that, we have Georgia versus Auburn. Georgia's heading to Auburn this weekend, and this Auburn team has had some great moments, but also has had some moments where they're really not able to close it out against some good teams. Losing by 6 to Texas A&M, losing by 7 to Oklahoma. Auburn could be continuing in their losing ways against top opponents, but for some reason, this game's just looking at me a little bit funny. I think I have Auburn upsetting Georgia this week. I feel like Auburn can really pack it out in Jordan Hare Stadium and give Georgia a tough time, like how Alabama was able to give Georgia a tough time. So I think I got Auburn winning this one.
I've got Auburn winning this one as well. Georgia, even at home against Alabama, looked like they struggled. And this Georgia team, they're kind of the big questions around them is how are they going to play against the big teams? And I think Auburn, I wouldn't say like they're like top of the echelon right now in the SEC, but I think they've got enough offensive firepower to really put the pressure on. And particularly with how this Georgia offense has operated this year, they really haven't asked Gunnar Stockton to do a whole lot. They've relied a lot on their run game, and their passing game has been very short, quick, and intermediate throws. So it's going to be interesting, particularly if Auburn can jump on them early. Georgia's going to have to be able to throw the ball down the field, and that's going to add for an interesting dynamic if it gets to that point. So for me, I've got Auburn as well.
Uh, Big Big Ten matchup this weekend. We have Michigan versus USC. USC has fallen out of the top 25 after their loss to Illinois, but uh, I'm pretty high on this USC team, and I'm also pretty high on this Michigan team. So this should be a really good uh, showcase. Um, I think I'm going to have to give the edge to USC here. I think Michigan's offense is just a little bit too flat in comparison to USC. They have a really solid run game, and they're great when they commit to the run, but they lack a real offensive firepower when it comes to the passing game. And I think if this game gets to like being an offensive shootout, which I think it has the capability of doing, I think USC beats them.
Yeah, I've got USC as well. Michigan, I've just been kind of like not really convinced by. They're not a bad team, but I just think they've got a young roster who's still trying to figure out who they are. I think their 15 rankings a little bit generous, but they have earned it to an extent. I mean, they've beaten who they're supposed to beat. They've lost who they're supposed to lose to. So for me, I've got USC here. I think Michigan's still a solid team this year. I still think they go like a 9-3, 10-2 finish, ranked around 15 and 20. But for me, I've got USC winning this one. They've got the home field advantage. Like they've got the more explosive offense, and particularly if Michigan gets behind the 8 ball early, it could be a tough night for them.
Yeah. Um, let's see. Uh, we got BYU versus Arizona this week. BYU remains undefeated, while Arizona has been looking pretty solid, but a relatively weak first half of the season with wins against Kansas State and Oklahoma State, and two non-Power 5 teams, one of them being Weber State from the FCS, and their loss coming from an Iowa State team that just came off a loss against Cincinnati. I got BYU winning this one. I think they just have the offensive firepower if this one goes to a shootout, and I'm pretty high on the Cougs in this matchup.
I am as well. BYU's just looked good this season. They've just found a way.
Mm-hmm.
They found a way, and I like that about them. And some teams, they just finding a way gets. I mean, hey, the Chiefs and the Patriots. I know that's the NFL. Chiefs and Patriots made a killing certain years just finding a way, and I like that about this BYU team. So give me BYU.
Um, Last, maybe a nightcap matchup that I believe is worth mentioning is Arizona State versus Utah. Utah has looked pretty good. Their only real slip up was against a really good Texas Tech team, while Arizona State has looked pretty formidable in the Big 12 coming off their loss against Mississippi State. This one could be a really fun game to watch. As a nightcap, I got Arizona State winning this one.
Let me think. Let me think. Let me think. Give me Arizona State. I think they've done a good job of turning their season around after initial stumbles. So, and this Utah team, I'm sold on them, but like I don't know. After their most recent loss, I'm just kind of questioning my initial opinions on them. So give me Arizona State. It could be recency bias, but I've got Arizona State.
You want to move over to the NFL now?
Yeah, let's move over to the NFL. Do you want to wait till next week to do the MLB because that'll be the conclusion of the next round, or do you want to hit them tonight as well?
Uh, we can wait till next week. But in big news with the MLB, um, Red Sox did not close it out against the Yankees. So Gareth, I apologize for that. But spoilers, Yankees lose against Toronto in their series. And Cubs move on. They're playing Milwaukee now. I think they were able to get a win. Yeah, they got a win today. That series is at 2-1 Milwaukee. There's a lot going on with that, but we're going to wait till next week to cover it, especially since we're kind of running on time right now. But we could do a quick recap of the NFL, do our NFL predictions, and I can give a UFC 320 recap. But starting off with the NFL, Panthers win 27-24. Panthers did not look good this game, I'm not going to lie. Like, I had high expectations going against the Dolphins, but the Panthers just did not look good whatsoever in that first half. Able to make it close going into the halftime, though. The Dolphins were up, I believe. Were they up like 17-0 at one
17-0,
point?
and they blew it.
Yep. Panthers were able to mount the comeback from that. Bryce Young was making some pretty bad mistakes early in the first half, but he was able to kind of clutch up in that fourth quarter and win the game for the Panthers. So my perception of Young is I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of getting to the point. Granted, I'm very thankful for the win, but these mistakes that are like costing us big early in the game and like putting us in a hole are not it. I don't know. It seems like we've lost the progression that he made late in the latter half of last season, and it feels like we're kind of starting all over again, which if that's the case and that's what going to be the trend with him every year, I don't know if we can use him long term. But I'm very grateful for the win, and I think it's a good win for the Panthers. But there are more questions right now than answers for me personally.
Unfortunately, this seems to be like you kind of ended at more of last year.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, I think this Panthers team's success is going to be judged by how well they're able to establish the run. I think that's what helped them this week game with Rico Dowdle going for 200 yards.
Yeah,
And the
absolutely
thing is,
going crazy.
we're not consistently able to establish the run, and I think that's what's and ultimately, yes, it's our job to establish the run, but we also need Bryce to be able to kind of manage when we don't establish the run as well. But if this team's gonna run and live and die by the run game, I think we need to start making some changes. I don't know what, but like you said, we can't keep starting from square one with Bryce every year. Um, so obviously, like I said, happy for the win, but yeah. So another big news, one game I'd like to hit on is the two 4-0 teams fell this week, starting with the Eagles. Um, the Eagles just I mean, obviously the Broncos played lights out in order to be able to come back from 14 points down in the fourth quarter. They scored 18 unanswered points. I mean, the Philly fans were bitching that they weren't throwing the ball enough and they threw the ball a lot and lost. I just think the play call down the stretch was not very good for the Eagles. Time was on their side. They had a big lead and they weren't able to close it out. Yeah, I just think the Eagles, I still think are one Super Bowl contender level this year. I just think they're gonna have to work out these play calling kinks and stop getting cute. When Philly got good last year, it's because they leaned on what was good for them. They leaned on that run game. They leaned on the intermediate pass game. They didn't throw the ball deep. They schemed around what they were good at, and that's why they were so good last year. They knew what they were good at, and they kind of, they worked around it. So for me, obviously, hats off to the Broncos. I think they're a good team, but ultimately, I still think the Eagles are one of the better teams in the NFL.
Yeah, moving on. There were a lot of weird games this week that kind of stick out to me. Texans, Ravens. Ravens looked awful this week. Like, I don't know. Like the Ravens are definitely not it this year. Stroud gets a much needed big game against a Ravens defense that has been struggling to say the least. Able to throw for 4 touchdowns. And Texans were able to put 44 points up on the board to beat the Ravens 44-10. I have a lot of questions for this Ravens team, and the AFC North is just an absolute wild, wild west right now. In recent news, Joe Flacco has moved on to the Bengals, has been traded to the Bengals right now, since the Bengals have been having some woes as of late. Recently, they lost to the Lions 37-24. This game was not as close as the score indicates. Bengals were able to get 3 garbage time touchdowns in the fourth quarter. Lions absolutely dominated that game. I don't know how I feel about Joe Flacco going to the Bengals, because the main issue that I see with them is like their offensive line and not being able to block. If I was a general manager of the Bengals, I probably would have tried to make a call out for Russell Wilson, because although his age, I believe Russell Wilson would be able to handle like being a little bit more mobile, which is needed if you're part of the Bengals. But Joe Flacco is a good quarterback, but I feel like this experiment's going to kind of flame out in the next like 3 weeks. I wouldn't be surprised if we obviously this is like a desperation kind of try to find somebody for that position, but in terms of like desperation polls, I feel like there might have been better picks for this Bengals scheme.
I agree. It's just that just seems kind of like a desperation move. But I think Joe Burrow going down, that was kind of their season right there, if I'm being honest. Other games that I'm interested in, the Commanders Chargers game was an interesting one. The Commanders were able to come back from being down 10. The Chargers just kind of imploded. I believe they picked up a few injuries, and then Jaden Daniels from there was able to get it going. If I'm not mistaken, I think Omari and Hampton got hurt, and that's kind of where, you know, Harbaugh kind of freaked out a little. The play call kind of changed, and then Los Angeles started not being able to move the ball as well. I still think both of these teams are very solid. I mean, I'm very impressed with the Commanders right now, and I've been very impressed with the Chargers this year as well. I still think I think these are 2 playoff teams, and I think they're gonna be very exciting to watch down the stretch. So, not much else for that game. I think the story was just the 2 turnovers by Los Angeles, which I believe turned into points, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, fumbled, touchdown, interception, touchdown. Yeah. They essentially gifted the Commanders 14 free points right there. So, but in the NFL, that's these thin margins are what win games. So,
Uh, One game that I really want to bring up is this game had me like pounding my head against the wall just because nuke the franchise, Arizona Cardinals. What happened? You were up on the Tennessee Titans. This is not a good Titans team. You were up 21 to 3. And basically, if you don't know what happened, hang on, yeah. Arizona about to get basically make the game out of the reach, making it 28 to like I believe 6 at the time. But who was it? Somebody. Okay, yeah, here it is. Uh, the running back, Amari Demercado.
Mercado.
Yeah, he has a boneheaded moment where he drops the ball as he's running into the end zone, going in for the touchdown that would have put the game away. That just pretty much put life into Tennessee, and Tennessee goes on to score 16 unanswered points and wins the game by 1 point. Like, that was bad. Like, that there's nothing else to say. I don't want to put players on blast or anything, but just Arizona's response to that moment and just all their progress lost and losing it to the Titans. That's my locale of the week right there. There's a lot of people you could probably like Penn State up there with the punching bags of the sports world right now. But I'd say this loss for Arizona is almost probably more devastating. This is one of those losses that you just can't explain away. That was a bad loss.
Yeah, I don't know. Some of these bottom feeder teams in the NFL this year are making me really question.
Yeah,
They're making me very, very, very appreciative for how the Panthers are doing this year.
yeah,
Um,
but
one more game I want to touch on. I don't know if you have another game. Is the Chiefs Jaguars. This was an interesting game. Um, I know the Jaguars have started off good, but I really haven't been sold on Trevor Lawrence,
I'm
and
still not sold on Trevor Lawrence.
I'm still not sold on Trevor Lawrence. I know he got stepped on, and that's what caused him to fall. But I watched him fall. I'm like,
That is the
dude, you
perfect
can't
Trevor
fall
Lawrence.
there.
That is the perfect Trevor Lawrence play right there.
Aiden's like, what are you talking about? That was perfect.
That no, never before has there been a play that perfectly encapsulates a player as Trevor Lawrence's 1 yard touchdown, where he falls over himself, stumbling in the backfield, and then somehow, with his talent and weird ineptitude, like all combined into one play, he's able to fall into the end zone for the game-winning touchdown. That that is the perfect in just every quarterback in clutch time has like a picture that it shows like they're ready for the game. Like a couple years ago, it was like Mac drinking his Mac Jones drinking like the Gatorade. There's like Tom Brady sitting down with his hands folded, ready to go. The one image of the game that I saw of Trevor Lawrence that really encapsulates him is him with his finger up his nose, like so much, looking dead into the camera as he's about to put the Jaguars on a game-winning score drive where he has amazing plays, but then also some of the most boneheaded decisions of all time, somehow amalgamating to a win. That was beautiful. That was art right there. There's some times where sports and art come together, and you can see moments that really like are artistic. That game was artistic in my mind because of just how I don't know what to think of Trevor Lawrence. I don't think he's worth the first round pick that the Jaguars gave him, but somehow he's good enough to just justify, yeah, we need to keep him around.
Yeah, I don't know. Is there any more games you want to touch on this week, or do you want to get into predictions?
Did we talk about Patriots Bills?
No,
You
we did
did?
not here.
Yeah. But and also I forgot, did we cover Bucks Seahawks?
No, here we'll hit those, then we'll
Okay, quick points on those. Buccaneers get a close win against the Seahawks. This was a really great game. Baker Mayfield able to edge it out against the Seahawks. Two just absolute offensive powers firing at all cylinders in this game. But the Bucks have proven that they find ways to win in this throughout the season, and they found a way to win on this one. Both of these teams are playoff caliber teams, in my opinion. And Patriots Bills. Drake May, absolute dominant game, dominant performance, throwing for 273 yards, passing. Um, Josh Allen just, it felt like the Bills were relying on him too much, and that's where kind of mistakes were happening. The Bills still look really good, but I'm starting to see like the vision of Drake May at the Patriots right now. Things are starting to fall into place for them. And I'm really excited to see how this Patriots team performs, not just in this season. I think this is going to be like the coming out Drake May game that signifies like the beginning of like the Drake May era in New England, because this was a statement win for him.
I agree. I feel like they're starting to be able to get pieces around him. And I feel like they're gonna be able to start they've already got pieces around him, but they're finally starting to build a team around him, and they're able to be successful with it. And they're still working out the line. The line's not there yet, but the line is getting there. They're starting to put pieces around him, and it's starting to look good. So I think the Patriots are going to be on their way back up. I think they could be a playoff team this year. So, for me,
Yeah.
hats off to the Patriots. That was a good win. I still think there's a long way to go for them to make the playoffs, but I think it's well within the realm of possibility.
Absolutely. Going into week 6, we have a matchup between the Cowboys and the Panthers. I don't know what to think of this
Please.
because
Dear
okay,
God.
the Panthers look good at home sometimes, and the Cowboys. If you told me like 2 weeks ago that the Cowboys would be like a team that's not tanking, I would have called you crazy. But with this tie against the Packers and a pretty good statement win against the Jets, they actually look pretty coherent right now. And I feel like Dak Prescott is actually really showing out, and he's kind of putting this Dallas team on his back right now. So I honestly see the Cowboys winning this one.
Well, I do like this Cowboys offense. I think it's what's, kind of helped them to a 2-2-1 record. In American football, I cannot stand for ties. I cannot stand for ties. I don't care if you're 15-1-0. You automatically suck in my mind. You didn't have the balls to finish that motherfucker off.
That was the Packers' fault, in my opinion.
Cool. Don't kick the field goal. Go for the fucking throat. Give me the Panthers. I'm not sold on this Dallas defense. There's a reason this point total is one of the highest of the week. 50.5. I believe that is the highest outside of Chiefs Lions.
Yeah, I mean, but is that because
Swiss cheese.
Do you think the Panthers offense can keep up with the Dallas defense though?
If Rico Dowdle runs
with
like
the
he did
Dallas
last week,
offense.
with the Dallas offense, I think this Dallas offense has been on a little bit of a Linsanity run. And I think that Linsanity run's about to come to an end. I've got loads of friends. I've got 2 friends who are big Cowboys fans. Abby and Ryan and three. Abby, Ryan, and Nathaniel. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You're on an insanity run right now. And yes, does that insanity run include 2 losses and a tie? Sure. But I'm sorry. Give me booster seat Bryce. Rico Dowdle. Trevor, whichever ETN brother we have. And all the other running backs. We're going to need them tomorrow. Or excuse me, we're going to need them Sunday. Give me the Panthers winning this one at home. Elsewhere around the league, we've got some interesting games. And for once,
Seahawks Jaguars looks like a really good matchup.
I agree. We've got 2 quarterbacks from what was it, the 2019 and 2018 draft who haven't exactly panned out, who are slowly finding their way. For me, I've got the Seahawks. They're a better, more rounded team in my mind, and I've got faith in Trevor Lawrence now. He's changing my opinion on him, but I've got faith in Sam Darnold. Give me the Seahawks.
Give me the Seahawks as well. I like this Jaguars team, but I just feel like the offensive power of the Seahawks is a lot more formidable. And I think in a shootout, Seahawks win.
Elsewhere on league, one game I kind of want to look at here is the Shit Bowl. The Shit Bowl. Let's take a look at it here. Why don't we? Raiders Titans. I feel like this is going to be a game of who wants it less in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Like, both of these teams have been awful. Like, I feel bad for Ashton Jeanty. I know he's slowly had some breakthroughs, but dude, they need to do a build to better team around them. And Geno Smith's not exactly having a great year. He had a great year last year, but I think it's just because Geno and Jeanty don't necessarily have people around them. I've got the Raiders in this one. I don't think they're going to choke as much as the Cardinals do.
Mm-hmm.
But give me the Raiders one.
All right. I mean, I kind of got the Titans in this one just because I feel like the Titans, although as bad as they are, I feel like this win against Arizona might spike some life in them. I'm really high on Cam Ward, and I think he can definitely do some damage against this Raiders defense. But moving on, we got the battle of the 4-1 teams. We got the 49ers versus the Buccaneers. 49ers are 4-1, but I think they're kind of a fraudulent 4-1 right now. They do find ways to win, but I think this Buccaneers team is just a little bit more scrappy and a little like has the will to win mixed with a good amount of talent behind Baker Mayfield. So I got the Buccaneers winning this one. It says Mac Jones is questionable, and that would mean that they're on their third string quarterback potentially. So I don't know. Give me the Bucks.
Yeah, give me the Bucks. I think they'll win this one. I think it'll be a close one, but I think Nathaniel Jones will play. I think he will play. But for right now, I got the Buccaneers. They're looking good. I think they're going to win the NFC South, and I think they're going to be a playoff team that could make a deep run. If I'm being honest, so give me the Buccaneers.
Sunday Night Football, we have the Lions versus the Chiefs. The Chiefs have got to be getting it together sometime. At least that's my line of thought. I don't think they're, in theory, like as bad as their record says, but tough losses against the Chargers, Eagles, and Jaguars has me kind of questioning them, especially against a Detroit team that I think's kind of pretty good. Been going on a little bit of a streak after their opening loss to the Packers. Give me the Lions in this one.
I've got the Lions as well. I I watched a couple videos recently on why the Chiefs haven't been as dominant. And I think it's just because one, they're marred with injuries, and two, their offense is kind of losing options. The Chiefs have had to kind of condense their passing game into more of a short passing game. And don't get me wrong, they've been successful with it. They went to a freaking Super Bowl last year with a battered, beaten up team. But I think their offense is getting too one dimensional and predictable. I mean, obviously Patrick Mahomes' kind of run game that's kind of come into its own recently has helped, but they lost Tyreek Hill. Um, they've got numerous other players hurt on the offensive side of the ball. They're still a very talented team, and I still think they'll make the playoffs. But if they fall to 2-4, man, I don't know. I mean, Rashee Rice is suspended, so that's kind of their vertical threat out. Um, they've got an offensive lineman out. So, I mean, Tyquan Thornton has done a good job stepping into his own. But I just think, I mean, Patrick Mahomes leads the Chiefs in rushing yards. They don't have quite the balance they've had in past years. I mean, Pacheco's looked good, but he really just hasn't been as effective either. I know this game's an Arrowhead, but I'm gonna have to give this one to the Lions. I think after a rough start, they're back on track. I think they're gonna be another playoff team slated to make a deep run, and particularly this Chiefs defense hasn't been as good as it's been in past years. I mean, they're missing a linebacker, Brandon George, safety, Nazeeh Johnson. Um, there's holes on this defense now. I know Matchup Predictor on ESPN's giving the Chiefs a 55% chance to win, but I've got the Detroit Lions this one.
In recent updates, hang on, I just got this. I have ESPN on, and UNC has made an official joint statement with Bill Belichick saying that they officially are fully committed to Bill Belichick. And Bill Belichick says, and I quote, "I am fully committed to this UNC football team." So sorry we needed to break it. I just wanted to bring that in. We're screwed. Anyway.
Yeah. I saw that. I've been scrolling on X while we've been doing this, seeing if we can just get some more info. And when they released that statement, all the comments are like, as a State fan, I fully endorse this. Bill Belichick is my UNC coach. And then all the comments are state things saying, extend Bill, extend Bill, extend Bill. And then Joe Ovius, of the OG Triangle Media podcast, Ovius and Jaleo, who are a big part of helping us get started, tweeted, "Very normal, context-free statements on a Wednesday night in October about a 2-2 football program with a head coach. Totally
2-3, Joe Ovius. 2-3.
2-3.
With cheese, Squidward. No, with cheese.
But I've been seeing all sorts of tweets like this. This is a total very normal tweet that you should see in early October about a first-year head coach.
Yes.
I do not envy your position.
Anyway.
I do not envy your position.
Back.
Ooh.
What?
Sorry. ESPN just dropped their top 25 for the start of the season, but college basketball. But we can get to that later.
We'll get to that later. But Monday Night Football, we have a doubleheader this Monday Night Football. We have Bills Falcons. I got the Bills winning this one. I think they bounce back big against the Falcons. A tough loss against the Patriots. I don't think this Falcons team has what it takes to take down the Bills. And Bears versus the Commanders. Bears, I believe, are coming off a bye, and Commanders got a good win against the Chargers. The Charger teams that's starting to slip a little bit. So this one's actually going to be a pretty interesting matchup in my mind, but I got the Commanders winning against the Bears.
I've got the Commanders winning against the Bears as well. This Commanders team, I mean, they had a shaky start to the season, but I've got faith in them. They're a good team. They've got pieces around them. I mean, the Bears are off to the best, a really good start for the Bears. But I've got faith in them. And then obviously Falcons, Bills, I've got Bills winning that one. The Falcons. I'm just after that Panthers one. After that Panthers game, I just can't take them seriously. I'm sorry. They may be
Yeah.
2-2, but they may be the worst team in the NFL.
Anyway, you done with the NFL?
Yeah, I'm good with the NFL. If you want to get into UFC, I don't know if we should bring up these ESPN top 25
We'll talk
rankings.
about it off the podcast, and we'll address it next week.
Sounds
But
good.
UFC 320 was a big card, big night with a lot of. It was just a really solid card. Starting at the bottom, we got Joe Pfeiffer winning by submission against Abus Magomedov by victory by rear naked choke. Joe Pfeiffer absolutely had a lot of domination with control, able to land a lot of headshots against Magomedov, and he's going to be moving up in the middleweight division now. I think he's going to be one of these names that you need to look out for. In the featherweight bout, we had Joshua Emmett versus Youssef Zahal. Zahal was able to get a submission in the first round, victory by armbar. Absolute dominant win by him. This one just over really fast. I expected a little bit more of a fight out of Joshua Abbott, but Youssef Zahal showed some dominance in the ground game, able to get the takedown, and then on his first submission attempt, able to take Joshua Abbott out with a lethal armbar. Going into light heavyweight bout, we had Yuri Verhovska versus Khalil Roundtree. I was really high on Khalil Roundtree going into this fight, and he looked good in those first 2 rounds. But Yuri Prochazka, and I mean this with the most compliment, there's a term in the fight world of like cockroaches in the league. Yuri Prochazka is just a cockroach in MMA. You can't kill this dude. When you think he's being outpaced and is just looking down, he just comes back. He's able to get the knockout slash total TKO against Khalil Roundtree in the 3rd round. I'm really interested to see where the light heavyweight division is going to go, because I could have sworn that maybe if Khalil Roundtree won, he might have had another shot at the title. But or as we'll explain later, the dynamic of the light heavyweight division changed once again. Going into the bantamweight championship fight, we had Merab going up against Corey Sandhagen. Merab gets the victory by unanimous decision. This one goes all 5 rounds. Merab looked pretty dominant, but I really was impressed with Corey Sandhagen's fight in this match. He was able to win 2 rounds, according to the judges, but Merab was just able to put it on to him, putting lethal strikes to the head area and having a lot of control on the ground. Merab was just taking him down and controlling that fight on the ground at will. And I respect Corey Sandhagen for finding ways to get out of that situation, because you do not want to be on the ground against Merab. But Merab just showed his dominance in this fight, and I'm really high on him. He's going to continue his reign as bantamweight champion, which leads us to the light heavyweight championship main event. We had Magomed Ankalaev versus Alex Pereira. I was not high on Alex Pereira whatsoever, but he was able to get this knockout in like 1 minute. Like Alex Pereira just dominates this matchup and knocks Magomed Ankalaev on the technical knockout. When it comes to like these championship fights, you want to see maybe a little bit more like sometimes the refs kind of jump in a little bit too soon, and maybe the opponent has a little bit more left in them. I think personally this was a good TKO. Alex Pereira had Magomed Ankalaev on the ropes from the beginning. He landed 28 total strikes, all of them significant, mainly to the head area, hitting him with elbows that were extremely lethal. I did not see this coming from Alex Pereira. I thought Magomed Ankalaev was kind of Alex Pereira's match because he is a really good striker, but also has good ground and a good ground game. But Alex Pereira came out in this one absolutely motivated and is able to knock out Magaleg Ankalaev, taking back his heavyweight title. So now Alex Pereira has the light heavyweight title back now, and the division is his. I don't think this one's going to go to a trilogy just yet. We just got the rematch of Magomed Ankalaev and Alex Pereira, and a lot of people thought that was kind of reaching for a rematch, but Alex Pereira gets the win, and the light heavyweight division is looking really interesting right now. I'm very interested to see how Alex Pereira continues in this division. Is he going to continue with the dominance that he's had before? I think there's a good case to be made that he's back, and he's maybe that Ankalaev loss earlier this year was a fluke, but we'll see with that. This week we have a UFC fight night in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. We have Charles Oliveira and Gamrot going into the main event of this fight night. Charles Oliveira has been kind of on a little bit of a slide as of late, but I would like to see him get a big win in his front of his home crowd. I see if he loses, there could be a good case that he might retire after this fight. If so, he's had an absolutely great career, and I respect him a lot for it. So I'm going to be rooting for Alex Pereira, but I'm not going to put it past Gamrot. I think he might be the one coming away with the victory. Another interesting matchup that I would like to bring out is Davidson Figueiredo versus Montel Jackson. Figueiredo, kind of in the same boat as Pereira. He's been on a little bit of a slide as of late, but I think he could get a solid win in a bantamweight that has been fluctuating in talent. So I got Davidson Figueiredo winning this one, probably by submission. I think he has a lot better ground game, and I feel like he can submit Montel Jackson. But that's going to round up my UFC news and my predictions this week, as well as my reactions to the fights last week. Really good week for MMA, and I think the latter half of this year is going to have is going to be picking up a lot more. We have some interesting pay-per-view cards in the works, finishing out this season. Well, this year, and I'm mainly looking forward to October 25th. We have UFC 321. We have Tom Aspinall versus Cyril Gahn. That should be a good fight. In a couple weeks, I will be doing a full breakdown on that main card, and I'm excited for it.
I am as well. And like you said, with the new, they're going to CBS, correct?
Yes.
Eventually, yeah, I'm excited for that. So I won't have to, pirate stuff anymore.
Arg.
No, thank you guys for listening in. We'll probably break down the college football. Now, I don't know how accurate, if this is actually ESPN's top 25 or if this is some assholes prediction. But we'll confirm that before we get in the next episode. But thank you guys for listening in. We will see you next week.